Well, Notre Dame fans, let's call it what I think it was, and I think you agree with me, Jack Sobel. I'm Tyler Horka. Probably Notre Dame's worst outing of the season, and that includes the two losses to start things off against Miami and Texas A&M. We are here at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, where the Fighting Irish beat the now 1-8 Golden Eagles 25-10. And they needed a 94-yard Jeremiah Love, not a Heisman moment, but a Heisman caliber, a play from a Heisman caliber player, if you will, Jack, to make it 25-10. It was 18-10 with Notre Dame right here. It occurred right here and went that way for Love. It was ugly at a lot of points in this game. And before I kick it to you, I will talk about the kicking situation. It is a disaster for Notre Dame. 3 missed kicks by 3 different kickers. 2 of those kicks were extra points. And it all started, Jack, when we were standing right here pregame. We saw Noah Burnett miss one wide right, and that was a precursor for things to come. And like I said, you can take it any way you want it, but that's probably where we need to start is Notre Dame. If it's going to be in close games, it has a kicking problem.
It has a kicking train wreck at this point. I mean, it's really bad when you have 3 different kickers missing, 2 extra points, and then a chip shot from 30 yards out. To put into perspective how bad this is, Boston College basically played prevent Hail Mary defense when Notre Dame was easily able to get. They had 9 seconds left. They had easily enough time. Get a quick out to Eli Raridan, probably 10 to 15 yards, set him up for an inside 30-yard field goal. And Boston College played that defense because they did not think Notre Dame could make a field goal, and they were absolutely right. It's really bad. We asked Marcus Freeman about it after the game. He said the issue was the ball is not going through the uprights when they kick it, and they will keep trying as many players. It was Noah Burnett, it was Eric Schmidt, it was Marcello Diamidi. It might be you or I by the time the season's over. It's really not good. You caught Marcus Freeman saying some probably not very nice things to special teams coordinator Marty Biagi after Diamidi's miss, which was the third.
Schmidt finally made one, by the way.
Schmidt did finally make an extra point. Kicking, I believe, wound up costing them 6 points because they wouldn't have needed to go for 2, which they missed if they were able to make kicks. So basically 3 extra points it cost them, and then the field goal. So 6 points off the board. That would have made the scoreboard look a little bit better, but not a lot better, because Boston College is really not a good team. They are 1-7. They lost to UConn. They have not beaten an FBS team this season. Good chance they won't the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Notre Dame cannot play like this again and expect to win the rest of their games.
Yeah, so we'll take it from there. We got the kicking stuff out of the way. It's another one of those weird ones because we just talked about this before we hit play on this video. Notre Dame averages 8.3 yards per play. I think they're up in the 450-yard range, closer to 500 maybe. But Jadarian Price fumbles around the 5-yard line. And like I said, the 94-yard run by Love aids in the overall yardage and the yards per play. The touchdowns were nice, and you take those, and that contributes to good-looking numbers when C.J. Carr throws a 40-yard touchdown to Malachi Fields, and then he throws a 44-yarder to Will Pauling. And that's what he needed to bounce back. And we talked to him after the game. He seemed a little more relieved because on his part, I think, Jack, that's what you wanted from C.J. Carr was 18 of 25, 299 yards, the 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Marcus Freeman said that he'd be the first to tell you that he left a couple out there. He had another touchdown going the same way to Malachi Fields if he didn't overthrow him. But by and large, the passing game, not an issue. Notre Dame's run-stopping game, not an issue. If you look at those numbers, really bottled up Boston College's running backs and the quarterback for that matter. They didn't let Grayson James get too loose in the running game. But so all of that said, the things that Notre Dame did well, where did things go wrong for Notre Dame in this game, Jack?
On offense consistency, they got the explosive plays. They weren't consistent enough in getting the little plays and moving the ball consistently. Boston College's game plan was kind of the antithesis of USC 2 weeks ago. USC decided to play 2 high safeties. They were concerned about C.J. Carr and the Notre Dame offense beating them over the top. That obviously backfired horribly for the Trojans. Notre Dame had over 300 rushing yards. Boston College took a very different approach. They played a lot of cover 0, even on a 4th and 6, which was the first touchdown, I believe. Yep. They played a lot of 1 high safety. They stuffed the box. They made things difficult for Notre Dame's blockers to get angles. Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, for that matter, did not have a lot of room for Notre Dame when they ran the ball, which meant that Carr needed to hit those shots against cover 0, and to his credit, he hit certainly more than he missed, and he hit enough to win the game. Defensively, the 1 touchdown was Leonard Moore getting beat, which is not a repeatable issue.
It just goes to show how weird the game was,
Yeah,
though.
I wouldn't be concerned about Leonard Moore whatsoever. He had another rep where he was playing man coverage on a crosser, would have picked it if the receiver didn't make a nice play playing DB. But the penalties, man, the penalties were an issue. Freeman had it up to here with Jalen Snead after he needlessly hit Grayson James after he'd thrown the ball and was arguably out of bounds, which was an easy penalty that kept the Irish from getting off the field. Boston College also did a nice job. They had a 21-play drive, including a field goal that was good, including, I believe, 2 third-down conversions, 3 fourth-down conversions, including one by penalty.
Yes.
Boston College had a lot of situations where they were in 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Mm-hmm. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? It obviously was not going to be enough to win this game. Right. Notre Dame would have needed to somehow collapse even more than they did for Boston College to win this game. But it's just a consistency thing.
Yeah, 1/6 of this football game, or a little bit over that, was spent with Boston College going that way down the field for 21 plays and 74 yards. And credit to Notre Dame's defense for bowing up a little bit, I guess, and keeping Boston College out of the end zone there. I think the face mask penalty was a phantom one, to be honest, on 4th down of that drive. So really it could have been a scoreless drive, but there was a little something missing for Notre Dame to get off the field in the first place, like 3 or 4 times before that. So just all in all, Jack, like you said, cannot play that way. Maybe even against Navy. I know Navy lost to North Texas today, but definitely against Pittsburgh. But it's really, by and large, like a more grand scheme thing, that it's like, if you are going to be one of these 12 teams in the college football playoff and you're 10-2 and have aspirations of doing what you did last year, you don't play like that. Because I don't think Notre Dame looked like that at all in November or December or January even, for that matter, last year against better teams too. I think that's a big part of this. Is Boston College is bad. Boston College is one of the worst teams in college football, not just the worst power conference teams. Like, if you look at all the metrics, they're down there with UMass and Charlotte and teams that you don't want to be with.
Kent State in some aspects.
Yeah, it's bad for Boston College, and Notre Dame didn't beat Boston College bad enough for me to leave here today thinking that this thing is headed in a good direction. That's all fine and dandy, though, because like Notre Dame could still win these next 4 games and probably will. But to your point, man, like, it's got to play better. It's got to be better than this.
It's got to be better than this. You mentioned Jadarian Price fumbling at the 5. That's his 3rd fumble inside the 5-yard line this season. He's lost 2. Freeman, to his credit, said, like, yeah, Jadarian Price has earned a lot of trust and credibility from this coaching staff. They're going to keep giving him the ball. They're going to keep letting him go. I don't know if I would give him the ball inside the 5 much this season. Like, you have Jeremiah Love you can use. You have Aeneas Williams you can take off the shelf and use in short yardage. Like, 3's a lot of times to fumble inside the 5-yard line. I want to move on to some things that Notre Dame did well. Offensively was the explosives. Defensively, the pass rush was phenomenal. Yeah. The pass rush did a really nice job. They could have finished a couple more plays. Grayson James is a solid quarterback. I don't know what Boston College is doing with this Dylan Lonergan thing. Grayson James provides the rushing element. I thought he threw the ball better as well. But Notre Dame, I believe, sacked him 5 times, and they picked the ball off 3 times. Yeah. Adon Schuler caused one, which literally fell into Tay Johnson's lap. Adon Schuler picked off one, and then Tay Johnson picked off another. So a lot of that, the marriage of rushing coverage that Notre Dame talked about a lot earlier this season. You saw a ton of that. You saw pass rushers staying in their rush lanes. It was tough for James to escape. He didn't really hurt them on the ground much. He hurt them extending plays a couple times, but never on the ground. He didn't get free.
And that's Notre Dame adhering to a coaching mandate, because Marcus Freeman said, okay, when Grayson James is the one that goes into the game, we have to make sure that he doesn't beat us with his legs. And
you can't let him scramble through the B gap.
Yeah, and really the only scrambling he did was side to side to extend plays, and a lot of those times he ended up throwing the ball incomplete, or Notre Dame forced him out of bounds and he only picked up 2 yards where he could have picked up more. So I thought so too. There was a point in this game where I thought Notre Dame was going to completely take over the game with the pass rush. To an extent, it did. I mean, Boston College only scored 10 points. Like that's a thing in this game. But like you said, a couple times Notre Dame probably could have gotten home when it didn't. I think, Jack, to spin this forward and end this video, Notre Dame is leaving happy that it won. And this is an old school rivalry game that goes back, and there's a little bit of history there, so you get to celebrate that part of it too. But this, correct me if I'm wrong, is one of those ones that Notre Dame moves on from more quickly than another road game. Like maybe another road game, you celebrate the entire plane ride back, and it's not business until Sunday morning. I think there's some elements that Notre Dame's going to be looking at on the plane ride back to the Midwest, thinking, okay, let's be better at that. Like, let's be better at that every game from here on out.
I think you celebrate in the locker room, but when you get to the plane ride back, you gotta move on. You gotta flush this. This was not a good performance. Notre Dame does not beat a lot of teams in this game.
I wrote that in my game story. I think that's the way I ended it. I was like, how many teams does Notre Dame beat playing exactly like it did, leaving the kicking points out there, leaving the offensive points out there with the fumble and everything? Like, they would have lost to a lot of teams today.
I would say a lot of the concerns, like the run blocking, I think you can live with. They loaded the box. The penalties, I think are fixable defensively. They're generally not an undisciplined team defensively. They created a lot of havoc. There's a good amount to build on. They made explosive plays. The one thing that really concerns me long term is the kicking, because this might be. It was bad at this point last year with Mitch Jeter trying to come back from that hamstring injury. That groin injury. Yeah. It's worse right now.
And the difference is it doesn't feel like – you always held out hope that Mitch Jeter was going to be healthy and then be good. Lo and behold, he was awesome in the college football playoff. If Notre Dame got to the college football playoff a month from now, I don't want Noah Burnett to go out there and have the game on his foot at Hard Rock Stadium against the top 10 team in the country. Like, that's the last thing that I want at this point.
And there's the backups haven't shown anything either. Eric Schmidt, I know Eric Schmidt's a freshman, but Eric Schmidt was a highly ranked player. You expect him to make an extra point.
And he's missed a short field goal before this too in another game.
I think he's missed like 3-4 kicks. I think 3 kicks at this point, and not a lot of
it.
It's
an epidemic.
And you say, well, why don't they try Marcel Diomede? And then that's why. So. That's something that I don't know if it's open tryouts. I don't know if it's calling up the soccer teams. Like we're getting into drastic times here with the kicking game.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that you're gonna have to focus on, obviously. But again, Notre Dame wins for the 6th time in a row, and by and large doing everything that they've got to do, even winning ugly. Sometimes you win ugly, and this was what that was. And now Notre Dame's got to move on and face Navy at home for a primetime game. So they got a little extra time to think about this and prepare for that one. But in the meantime, Jack Sobel and myself, Tyler Horka, we will have you covered here at this YouTube channel at blueandgold.com. And if you guys get our magazine as well, Blue and Gold Illustrated, look for that in the mail in the next week or so. Also, definitely check out our roundtable video that will be live on Sunday afternoon. That's always a fun one, recapping. We'll see if cooler heads have prevailed and we're less sky is falling at that time. But until then, that's Jack Sobel. I'm Tyler Horka, blueandgold.com, Blue and Gold Illustrated.